Hi there, I'm Dan and this is my entry for the Great Guitar Build Off 2022. So this project for me, it kind of started around the time of the original GGBO. At that time I had no experience building guitars, I had minimal experience with woodworking, I had none of the tools necessary for doing any of this sort of work. And really back then I started sort of collecting those tools, building up some experience. So it started off by doing a bit of a setup and fret work on my Epiphone Les Paul. So this is the Les Paul after all of the work was completed. I replaced all of the electronics as well, including upgrading those pickups to these Warman humbuckers, which, although cheap, they're actually pretty good. Did a full fret level crown and polish for the first time ever, which turned out really good. And then last year, didn't enter this as GGBO, but just didn't finish it in time for that. But I ended up building this cheap Strat kit. So with a few little customisations like this custom made aluminium pick guard and matching backplate. I customised the headstock, and generally this was a cheap kit, but it turned out pretty good. Even though the neck pocket didn't fit neck didn't fit into the neck pocket properly, but it worked out pretty good. And I'm pretty happy with how this plays now. And that was like a trial run for this really, which is a much more complicated design. See in the background there on the screens. So I figured now's as good a time as any to show you the kit that I bought and some of the various parts and other bits of wood that I'll be using on this guitar. So first up, this is the body of the kit. This came from Alegree. It's order, 2 pieces by the looks of it. There seems to be a join down here, but it done a pretty damn good job of that. It's pretty nice. It's some fairly nice figuring on there. I'll put some close-ups on to show it properly, I think. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Standard sort of Telecaster really. And then this is the neck, which just blew me away. It is absolutely stunning. So it's roasted maple throughout, which just smells amazing too. But yeah, the figuring on this fretboard is just amazing. Not sure it's going to pick it up here. I might have to put in some close-ups or something. But yeah, that is just going to look amazing under oil. Yeah. So at the moment, the neck is slightly too big to fit in the pocket here. Doesn't quite fit, which is a good thing, especially given my experience with the Strat kit, that I built before. So that's a good thing. Neck feels amazing as well. It looks like they've sanded it really well. I've also bought a Wilkinson short style telly bridge. Obviously I'll be replacing the saddles there with the piezo saddle system. But yeah, that looks good. Fits the string through holes. So it's a good sign. I want to do a bit of work on this heel here. I don't want to do what I did on the Strat and just have a plate with the 4 screws into the neck. I'd rather use the ferrules and bolts. And if possible, I want to do a bit of shaping. So I think the bare minimum is what Sweet Tea did in his giveaway guitar, where he sort of shaped that down a bit here, sloped it down, so it
takes a little bit of that meat away. The other thing I would like to do, but I need to explore this in the CAD first, is round this over a bit more, potentially moving that hole back, because if I cut through that hole, there's a 4mm hole that goes basically all the way through. They've just poked, through at the back side. And if I cut through that, obviously you're going to see the hole. So I either need to remove the entire hole or not go that far. So yeah, a bit of design work to explore that there. As for the top and the back, so I've done the work jointing these, although there is a bit of a problem with this top. But this is the top piece. So you can see this is a heavily figured piece of black limber. These were actually an acoustic guitar back and side set, book matched, and then I've jointed them obviously. So that's the top. Looks pretty awesome, I think, with that figuring. And this here is the back piece. Much plainer figuring on this. I wanted it that way so that, I didn't really see the point of going heavily figured on the back. So this image shows the basic design elements of the guitar. So we have the Brenner piezo system with the short style telly bridge. We have two P90 pickups. We have a switchcraft jack in the upper belt there. And various controls for magnetic pickups and the piezo in the lower half of the body there. So I intended for this video to go up a couple of days ago. So I got the body and the neck kit from Alegree on Thursday, and on Friday I had a proper good look at it. And what I found was a fairly major issue. I had already done a load of work on this based on plans I found online for a Telecaster. And what I found is those plans don't really fit the actual kit. And it's significant enough that it would have looked horrific on the actual design. And it's not something as simple as just measuring the body. So I've kind of given up on that particular design I had in the first place. There are a couple of other reasons for it too as well. Like I say, so it's Saturday I discovered this, and I've thought about it quite a bit since. And now I've actually sort of come to the realisation that actually this might have been a good thing. Because what it allowed me to do is to take a step back and really think about what I wanted from this guitar. What were the key features I wanted? And when I really narrowed that down and focused on just a few things I really wanted to get out of it, which for me comes down to the P90s, the piezo, and the switchcraft switch in the upper belt, because I really don't like Strat style switches or telly style switches. And when I focused in on those three things and then explored the design again, suddenly I found some solutions that are a lot easier for me to build. I mean, in a way, this is sort of classic feature creep in design. I wasn't focused really, which is the problem. So the other reason for changing tack here is that the body that came from Alegree, this here, is actually a lot nicer than I expected. The photos of this on Alegree's website really don't do it justice. This is a really nice piece of order. It's got some nice figuring and grain on it. And what I had planned would have just gutted it, essentially. I would have taken out most of this material. And at least one of these new designs I've come up with doesn't do that and retains most of this body, which I think is a good thing. So I'll show you the two design options I've come up with in a minute, and I'm really interested to hear any feedback on them. I'm not going to make any decisions just yet. I'll think about it as well and listen to that feedback. I suppose I will say I currently prefer option 1, but I'll leave it there and jump over to the CAD and show you both options back to back. So this is option 1. Essentially it's kind of like I think it's a Telecaster Deluxe. So it's got this extended pick guard with the toggle switch in the upper belt there, and it gives me plenty of room with that enlarged pick guard for cavities for all of the piezo and whatnot electronics in there, and it also helps me cover up the enlarged holes for the P90s there. My idea here is to use the top piece of wood to make that pick guard. So it would have a similar look to what I was thinking of before, but again it will be a lot simpler because all of the electronics will be mounted on that pick guard, apart from the P90s obviously. And I don't need that many extra routes even, because there's already holes in the kit body running through from the neck pickup to the bridge and then through into the existing cavity. So there's only a little bit of extra routing to do in this option. So this here is a very quick mock-up of option 2. Essentially here what I would be doing is much closer to the original idea. So I would take off the top 3 to 4 millimeters of the existing body and then attach the top to that, and I'd route out cavities inside, extend those pickup routes for the P90s and so on and so forth. This option is obviously a lot more complicated than option 1. For one, I would have to route out access cavities from the back to be able to get to the electronics. Just doing the whole top is going to be more complicated because I'd have to create a router sled and do a lot more routing. So there's a lot more chances for this one to go wrong. But as I say, it is closer to the original design intent.